is no disgrace. Yours is no disgrace.
It is 7:50 p.m. Monday, May 4th, 2026, titling this one, well, it's a statement, more or less, that the deep dive that we did on Candace Owens, the podcaster, social media influencer, someone who somehow has 5, 6, 7 million views on YouTube. The deep dive that we did that was not repeated elsewhere and could have been done by other people. For some reason, I felt compelled to do it because I suspected there was something there. And sure enough, there was a lot there. Is yielding tremendous insight on September 11th, 2001, which kind of validates a very radical, but it's going to come out. A very but understanding that one of the most significant parties in the events in 2001, with respect to September 11th, 2001, were some aspects of the government of India. And it has been sort of whitewashed and rebranded as being Israel. That's it. It's a huge, is Israel involved? Yeah, but you have to look at population. You have to look at trajectories of economies. You have to look at influence. It is no coincidence that the communications director, and some would say the second most powerful person at the United Nations at the time of September 11th, 2001, was Shashi Tharoor of India. And India, according to many interviews that Shashi Tharoor did around the time, actually the year before September 11th, 2001, India was being viewed as the model of the future of United Nations. Because no nation in the world had so many people, had so many different religions, had so many different languages, and had what they described as some sort of functioning democracy. So, according to many people who are gaining power within the United Nations, no other nation prepares people more for what the future is going to be for global governance than India. And Shashi Tharoor was a very prominent person. Now, he wasn't all over U.S. television by any stretch of the imagination, but he was right next to Kofi Annan. And as we see here, this is Shashi Tharoor visiting New York City in last year. This was taken on May 27th, 2025. Shashi Tharoor, of course, is Oxford educated. So let's hear him in New York City paying his respects to the September 11th for the first time, I believe. Now, he's, of course, spoken about September 11th multiple times from a very UN-centric or an India-centric angle. Let's see what he has to say here. And for those who are interested, the song that I opened with was Yours Is No Disgrace by Yes from the year 1971.
The Five Nation Tour aims to expose Pakistan's alleged terror links and...
So right off the bat, one of the main parts of the visit is to reinforce that India, along with a few other parties, are all being beaten up by Pakistan. It's Pakistan, Pakistan, Pakistan. And they are there to probably praise anyone that goes around saying Pakistan Mystery Man. They want all the focus on Pakistan. Suddenly. It's been that way ever since September 11th, 2001.
Rally international support.
So we are here, we've just arrived from India. Today, in fact, it's this afternoon. And our very first stop has been to this moving September 11 memorial. I was in New York myself on 9/11. I still remember vividly the experience of the horror of that day. I remember going on CNN that evening, international, and saying that we are all New Yorkers now.
So he was on the evening of September 11th, 2001, you probably forgot it because it's very hard video to find. Shashi Tharoor was on CNN. So while, you might have been worried about someone having died that day, while everyone's being rocked, no one knows what's going on, the world's going to be different, people are being afraid of deployed, who should we listen to? Well, CNN is putting on somebody from India to tell us.
And it's a reminder of the
that's odd.
Solidarity that all people around the world feel in the face of terrorism.
Now, remember, Shashi Tharoor is the number 2 person in the United Nations. He's the right-hand man of Kofi Annan. Kofi Annan, by the way, is prominently discussed in this September 9th, 2001 book called Germs. I remind you, this book by Judith Miller of the New York Times, September 9th, 2001 was when it went for sale. September 9th, 2001 is the first version. Now, you can buy a rewritten second edition, which is what most people refer to, that they think simply reinforces all of the mythology of biological weapons. But the real book you need was available for sale on September 9th, 2001. September 9th, 2001, 2 days, 48 hours before September 11th, 2001. And in here, there's a lot of talk about Kofi Annan. Interesting. The boss of Shashi Tharoor at this time. Matter of fact, this book even includes associates of Robert Malone. It even talks about the Human Genome Project. It extensively talks about Joshua Lederberg. Oh, my goodness. But it gets a lot better because, again, Kofi Annan is in here pretty prominently. Even the person that became the executive director of the 9/11 Commission, isn't that odd, is in a book that came out on September 9th, 2001. Now, what's really going to twist your pickle is the fact that Judith Miller here, her dad worked as an entertainment manager out in Nevada. He was known as Bill Miller or Mr. Entertainment. And Bill Miller was hired by Kirk, that billionaire Armenian who is probably the person that has been managing or was, again, Kerkorian probably works for somebody else, right? As a matter of fact, Kerkorian started off when he was young making money flying planes to India for the Royal Air Force. That's odd. Before going on to own a bunch of casinos. but then he became a billionaire. He was one of the 10 richest persons in the United States of America, and then he donated a huge portion of his wealth to Armenia for Armenia genocide recognition. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Let's stick with Shashi Tharoor here, okay? Because he's finally in New York City paying his respects. He's paying respects in New York City 2 weeks after Charlie Kirk made a very a provocative statement that the United States should not get involved into an India-Pakistan war. That's something that they don't like to talk about on mainstream news. They don't talk about it on InfoWars. They don't talk about it on Redacted. They don't talk about it anywhere. Nowhere in the United States do you even hear about the existence of India, much less encouragement for the United States to stay out of a Pakistani-Indian war. But here we have Shashi Tharoor in New York City 2 weeks later finally saying, you know what, I just want to remind everyone, Pakistan is bad. And we're good. We're from India. We're awesome. We got democracy and everything. Everything's great. We're the model. But anyways, let's keep focusing on Shashi Tharoor. So in New York City, now again, remind you, going back to 2001, okay? I'm feeling nice and powered up right now. Not only is he in New York City with Kofi Annan, but he's also Kofi Annan, right? I got the right name right. He is also with Klaus Schwab. It's like three men walk into a bar. You know, it's one of those, an Arab, a Jew, and a I don't know, a Christian or something, right? Walk into a bar, you tell a joke, right? And it's like three men get out of a cab in New York City. Shashi Tharoor, Klaus Schwab, and Kofi Annan. Who knows what kind of amazing comedy can happen from there with your joke? You could do Kofi Annan, Shashi Tharoor, and Klaus Schwab walk into a bar. I'm sure you can make a joke out of that, okay? But anyways, just to clarify, everyone knows who Klaus Schwab is. Everybody in the alternative media. He's been on millions of thumbnail pictures. Shashi Tharoor, unknown. How is that? Now, I keep hearing this mythology, by the way. I keep hearing this mythology that in the United States, you're not supposed to talk about a country. What country aren't you supposed to talk about in the United States, else you'll get banned? Now, some people have gone so far as to say Israel, but I don't understand that because on Amazon.com, you can get Whitney Webb books that have references to Israel at relative to India, 1,000 to 1, meaning when you factor in that India has 100 times the population, Whitney Webb talks about each person in Israel 100,000 times more than each resident in India. So either she's delirious or she actually believes that the people in Israel are each 100,000 times more capable than people in India. So she's delirious. Or is that true? Because I thought everyone has a capability and is equal. That doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, if a topic is censored, that means you can't read about it. How is it possible that 3 people sent me the Protocols of Zion nonsense if it's so censored? How can there be billions of references to Israel if it's a censored topic? Oh, that's right. If they're saying it, it's not really censored. If you don't hear about it, then it's censored. This is the guy that's on par with Klaus Schwab. No one will mention him. Nobody. Doesn't exist. India doesn't exist. Just doesn't exist. Don't mention it. Don't mention it. Don't talk about it. And Charlie Kirk kicked the bee's nest when he went on the air and said the United States should not get involved in the India-Pakistan war. Very, very big mistake. Everyone's pissed off right now. And all of the evidence that Charlie Kirk was killed by the Jews or Israel, every single piece of evidence, every chat, every video, every threat, every post, everything came out after Charlie Kirk made that statement. Now, let us keep going here, because what also many people love to say, well, Charlie Kirk was clearly killed by Israel. Who else would want to do it? Erica Kirk went to one One and only one swearing in ceremony. One and only one swearing in ceremony Erica Kirk attended. One and only one of the whole U.S. government. Who was it for? Oh, that's right. It was the ambassador to India. Matter of fact, one of Charlie Kirk's best friends, Sergio Gore. Here, let's hear Erica Kirk.
He was also very good friends with a guy named Charlie. We just knew him as Charlie, and his wife, who we love.
I want to hear Erica Kirk's statements. She has a long short on it. Erica Kirk to join Sergio Gore's swearing-in ceremony.
I'm so proud of you, and Charlie is going to be with you every single day in spirit. I'm so proud of you, and Charlie is going to be with you every single day.
You know, it's almost as if the Charlie Kirk assassination had something to do with India. Matter of fact, it has everything to do with India. And if you've done an actual deep dive on Candace Owens, you'd realize it totally has a lot to do with India. This is really about India. More than anything else. Okay, so let us go on, because I said it's something to do with 9/11, and yeah, okay, so what's his name? Shashi Tharoor, who's speaking in New York City. By the way, his son works at the Washington Post and did a lot of articles planting seeds about why China's responsible for COVID-19, but let's not get into that. Now, regarding this whole, Israel does everything bad and India doesn't exist narrative that the fake conservative media has and still clings to. They're still clinging to it. They're still clinging to it. It's just so absurd. All right. And let us, because they really love talking about Jeffrey Epstein, Ohio, and Whitney Webb, that references the people in Israel at a ratio of 100,000 times more frequently than the people in India. 100,000 times more frequently. That's an inverse is what we call it. She loves saying less Wexner, Israel, less Wexner, Zionist, Wexner, Epstein, Wexner, Zionist, and etc. It is just a worst type of broken record you could ever imagine. Not only do you have to hear it in loop, but you have to hear it like this, and she has her voice all cracky, and Epstein, Israel, and don't forget to mention the Palantir, and the Mossad, and Epstein, Mossad, and Mossad, and Palantir, and surveillance, and Trump, and Mossad, and Epstein, Wexner, Epstein, Mossad. That's basically that's how Whitney Webb talks. Hey, Whitney Webb. Oh, good morning. Maybe you go to a conference with her or something. Hey, did you enjoy the hotel breakfast? She'd be like, Mossad, Epstein, Mossad, Ghislaine Maxwell, Palantir, Musk, Epstein, Mossad, Wexner, Epstein, Mossad. And you have to translate like, oh, so you had the bacon, eggs, and the French toast. That's, like a translation, I guess. Anyways, since Wexner is so powerful, according to Whitney Webb, so powerful, all right, let us consider that the governor of Ohio for many years of Wexner's reign in Ohio was a man named Richard Dick Celeste. He was from the Democrat Party. He was the governor of Ohio. And you know what's really odd? Holy shit. He was also the ambassador to India. What the hell? What are the odds that the ambassador to India role not only was Sergio Gore, who was one of the best friends of Charlie Kirk, and it's the only swearing-in ceremony that Erica Kirk went to. The only one, right? The only one. But what's also odd is another one was Dick Celeste. He was the governor of Ohio, and that's a weird one hop away from Les Wexner. I thought Les Wexner was just all you need to know is Zionist, Jew, and Israel. Epstein, pedophile. Basically, that's the whole language of Wexner. And you just repeat those words over. I didn't know that the Ohio governor, I would think the Ohio governor would have been the ambassador to Zionist something, Israel, Jews, something. The ambassador to whatever. No, he was the ambassador to India too. That's very strange. And it got me thinking. Okay, so there's something. So who's making what where, right? And I started to do some compound searches. about the ambassador role to India, about other people that may be involved, and then I found this. That Governor Blago of Illinois was actually himself trying to become ambassador to India in 2008. What the hell? I mean, look, if someone called me up right now and said, hey, Mark, you want to be ambassador to India? I'd be like, well, okay, sounds like fun, and travel and get to meet some people. And I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say no. It's not that matter of fact, get to meet a lot of people. It'd be a great life experience, I'm sure. But why are all these people fighting over this one job? I don't see this happening anywhere else. And of course, Blago is, I guess when Obama's Senate seat opened up, he's trying to somehow either sell access to the role for the governor, become ambassador to India in 2008. And again, Celeste is out by this time. And just another weird data point, okay? Let's see here. Dick Celeste or Richard Celeste or Celeste of the governor of Ohio, an associate. Or I don't think they were on good terms because Celeste was a Democrat and Les Wexner was a Republican. But his role ended on April 25th, 2001, just before 9/11, which kind of makes sense, I guess, because he's there as a Democrat and the Bush administration is starting. But it's interesting. That's interesting. So let us continue on here because I didn't know that the governor of Blago out in Illinois was also trying to get the ambassador to India role. Now, yesterday I talked about Richard Verma of Windber Cancer Research Center. Richard Verma. Oh, that's right. Richard Verma, who was the best boss he ever had, was Harry Reid in Nevada. That's right. Harry Reid, who, as the movie Casino showed us, was getting support from the casino industry, from the skimming operation, from the Democrats, and ultimately, that's right, Kirk Kerkorian, the billionaire Armenian, American, but of Armenian ancestry, giving money to Armenian genocide recognition. Armenian genocide recognition benefits one group in particular beyond Armenians. You know who that is? United Nations. Because the United Nations, their primary goal is to stop genocide. They came out of look, I'm not here to question past events as far as the Holocaust or what has happened in Darfur or Armenia. I don't know. All right. And all I will say is I don't know. I hear a lot of different things, but these were mass killings. Whether or not they meet the definition of a genocide or whether they simply wanted to kill a bunch of people of any race that were in a particular area, I don't know, and there's nuances there that matter. But the United Nations wasn't founded, to, I don't know, just generic peace, and it's not a trade union. They are there. They were initially created to stop genocide. So, of course, it's going to be tied up with recognition of the Armenian genocide. And that's one of the reasons why there's so much fighting against the recognition of the Armenian genocide as a genocide, because if it was several 100,000 or a million people that were killed out of a war, out of migration, out of something, it may not technically be a genocide. But the United Nations and their funding gets involved when it is a genocide. So it's very tricky stuff. Anyways, not having to take a position on it, I can't say, though, with some confidence that whether or not it is technically a genocide or not does matter to some very powerful people with a lot of money and a lot of access to resources. Okay, but going back here to this recognition of Governor Blagojevich, and he wanted to have the ambassador role as well, and the ambassador role for several years during the Obama administration was actually held by Richard Verma, and we reviewed that yesterday. This got me thinking, because now I want to better understand, and this is the article I'm going to read, okay? I wanted to better understand the background of why the governor of Illinois would have been interested in the ambassador role to India. You know, the one that is the ambassador role to India, that Charlie Cook's really good friend, Sergei Gore, only ceremony that Erica Kirk went to. You know, there are people out there that have spent almost 1,000 hours talking about Erica Kirk, and for some reason, they find the one swearing-in ceremony that she went to be totally irrelevant. I think that's one of the most important things to talk about, especially when you consider the ecosystem of people and events around Charlie Kirk all seem to be wrapped up in India and Pakistan. It's the most important thing to talk about. I don't care if she's suddenly making a video wearing a black hat and a shirt, looking like she's going to, be part of a diamond heist movie. You know, what the hell? I don't know what the hell's going on, but we need to be thinking about this relationship with India and the relationship with India on 9/11. Okay, because, and as I said, Candace Owens. So going back here, I started doing some compound searches, and I found this article from 2008 on a website called counterpunch.org. This is I'm not going to be overly dramatic here. This is a left-leaning site. This is a left-leaning, pro-Obama website. And this article was written in 2008. 2008, 18 years ago. Blago's, governor, Illinois, Indian connections. Let's see here. So let's start reading. So in 2007, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, okay? The Illinois government renamed a major freeway that links the wealthy suburbs of northern Chicago, the Jane Addams Memorial Tollway. This tollway runs through the heart of northern Chicago's urban sprawl, the expanse of concrete and glass that makes up corporate headquarters, Motorola and United Airlines, and mega shopping centers, the Woodfield Mall and the Huntley Prime outlets. Jane Addams, a famous social reformer, would probably not have taken kindly to her name being tied to these churches of American capitalism. The town of Schaumburg sits in the middle of this golden corridor, and in the middle of this town is the India House Restaurant. On October 31st, presumably 2007, a Konkani businessman, Raghavir Nayak, booked India House for a private party. He hosted luminaries of Chicago's businesses communities, people such as pharmacy owners Harish and Renuka Pahat, hotelier Satish Sunny Gabhawala, I apologize for mispronunciations, and prominent political leaders of the Indian American community such as Babu Patel and Iftikhar Sharif, both past presidents of the Federation of Indian Associations. Nayak, a former head of the Federation of Indian Associations, owns a group of surgical centers. A highly regarded Democrat Party fundraiser, Nayak is also a friend of another person who attended the lunch, Rajendra Bedi, an aide to Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich. The governor calls Bedi my Sikh warrior, so not Hindu. In addition, among the few who are not Indian Americans, the party included Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr.'s brother, Jonathan. Governor Blagojevich made a brief appearance. People who attended the party made it clear, anonymously, that Nayak brought them together to put his friend Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr.'s name up for the Senate. All right. It had become clear that Senator Barack Obama would win the presidential contest to be held the next week, and these deep pockets realized that his elevation would open the Senate seat. The governor of Illinois would have the right to fill the seat until the next election cycle. Nayak, Bedi, Bhatt, and others, again, apologies for mispronunciations, wanted to put in a good word for their friend, Congressman Jackson. Remember, Jesse Jackson just died several weeks ago. Gabhawala told Chicago Tribune that he saw Bedi and Nayak try to convince Babu Patel, a Blagojevich fundraiser, to use his influence and money on Jackson's behalf. In a country whose highest courts decided that political donations are a form of free speech, it is expected that you cannot put in a word for someone without opening your wallet. According to a federal indictment and to reliable sources at the meeting, the fundraisers promised to raise over $1 million towards Blagojevich, who would then nominate Jackson to fill Obama's Senate seat. Later that day, a federal government wiretap caught the governor saying, quote, "We were approached pay to pay. You know, he'd raise me $500,000. An emissary came. Then the other guy would raise $1 million if I made him a senator." On December 4th, the governor met with Advisor B, as he was named in the criminal complaint. And this is why the governor fell. It's because of the ambassador to India. You know, India, what you can't mention. India, which is mentioned, Israel, with a population of 12 million, is referenced 1,000 times more frequently in a Whitney Webb book than India, that has 1.5 billion people. Yes, per citizen, that is 100,000 times the frequency. Whitney Webb will talk about people in Israel versus India. You can't talk about India. It's not mentioned anywhere. No one will put it in a title. People don't acknowledge the nation exists. Every once in a while, they'll bitch about H-1B visas, kind of, sort of. And by the way, the avalanche of H-1B visas didn't start really until after 9/11. I remember because I had to train my replacement once. And I remember it was odd that one country in particular, no one was training their Filipino replacement. Nobody was training the Brazilian replacement, their Chinese replacement, the Russian. I mean, countries were global. But there was one country in particular. So odd that you can reference every other country. You can talk about Israel till the cows come home, and the cows have baby cows, and they go away and they come home. Nobody can mention India. It's the most brilliant psych operation in the alternative media movement. Israel, 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 Israel. It's just flags and burning flags and Israel, and Netanyahu is like on every other thumbnail picture. Israel, 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 Israel. What about India? Visa problem. Let's get back to talking about Israel. It is absurd. And India is the largest purchaser of Israeli military equipment. So everyone wants to expose and follow the money about Israel. No one's willing to talk about where their money comes from. Nope, nothing. Anyways, let us continue. I didn't realize that Blagojevich was also destroyed by this ambassador to India role. It's unbelievable. Even Erica Kirk. Everyone loves to talk about what she's wearing and how tightly she hugs J.D. Vance, who's married to an Indian. But nobody will talk about. Most people still don't know who Sergei Gore is. Most Americans still don't know. However, if you were to watch Hindi news, they talk about him all the time. It's almost as if in the United States there's a blackout on talking about the existence of India. And I'm excited about India's growth, and I know they have a lot of challenges. I'm not nervous about it. I'm upset that I don't know how there could ever possibly be a productive, successful, prosperous relationship with a country that you're not even allowed to acknowledge exists. But let's keep going on here, because these insights were really driven bigly by Candace Owens. So let's stay here, okay? So on December 4th, 2017, the governor, Blagojevich, met with Advisor B, as he is named in the criminal complaint, and told him that Senate candidate 5, Jesse Jackson Jr., will get greater consideration because of a surety that number 5 would help Blagojevich raise some money, and that he would give him some money, maybe up front. Blagojevich wanted something tangible because, quote, some of this stuff's going to start happening right now, you see. So, a lot of this stuff was recorded. Oh, my goodness. And, of course, it involves Obama's chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, etc. This is and it's ridiculous. So, there's a bunch of Indian bankers here. There's who are involved in raising money and supporting. Now, keep in mind that one of the other representatives from the state of Illinois, who was almost a senator, but he lost the primaries, is Raja Krishnamurthy, who was born in India. And Raja Krishnamurthy from India chairs the group in the United States Congress regarding America's relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. Think about that. Think about that. The United States Congressional Group regarding, dealing with concerns related to the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, I can understand such a group, right? Includes somebody born in India. Shouldn't that be just like just a no-no? Look, if there was a group, let's just say President Putin of Russia's daughter had moved to the United States and was an American citizen. Would it be a good idea if Putin's daughter was on a congressional committee regarding the economic recovery of Ukraine? I think that would be a bad idea. That would be a stupid idea. But for some reason, when it comes to someone from India on a U.S. congressional committee telling Americans about their relationship with China, it's totally cool. This is nuts. But it's still really about Candace and what we learned about Candace. Let's go up a couple levels. Let's go up to Celeste. Oh, yeah, that's right. Candace Owens is also almost militant against Erica Kirk. Why? Who cares? Oh, that's right, because Candace Owens wanted to be the Turning Point USA head at one point. She was side by side with Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk is the one that made the mistake of saying the United States should stay out of Pakistani-Indian affairs, which led, within a week or two after one of the terrorist attacks, to Shashi Tharoor of India coming to the United States and even finally paying, I don't know why it's not up there on my list anymore, his respects at the 9/11 memorial. Isn't that odd? But anyways, let's think about this from the Candace Owens perspective down here, okay? Let's go to the Houstonic.live site. Let us go to the O's. Candace Owens. And because Candace Owens was at one time a nobody, like most of us. And then something happened to Candace Owens in high school. Now, what actually happened, I don't know. Okay. It's possible something really bad happened and she only complained about it a little. It's possible she made the whole thing up. I don't know. I will never know. We know there was a settlement. But at that time in 2005 and 2006, when she's being represented by the NAACP, let us not forget. Let's do Control C there. And let me go up here. Okay. Do the Control C, Control V there. Go up to here, and again, I'm sorry about having to view it on another machine. We have different things here. Let us listen to her talk about her incident with Stefan Molyneux. And by the way, this video has been censored. It's a 1-minute clip. Let's see what Candace Owens says here. Let's see what Candace Owens says.
Long story short, I only knew one person in the car that night. It was a case of high school drinking, and like, I don't like this girl, I'm going to call her and let's shout into the phone. And the argument that I had with that friend was like, I was hanging out more with my boyfriend. It was something very, very petty and not a big deal, but ended up blowing up because one of the individuals in the car who I'd never met in my life was the current governor of Connecticut's son, Governor Daniel Malloy, who is a Democrat. So instantly it
And Daniel Malloy, it was the person that Daniel Malloy was having a primary against, by the way, is a friend of Jesse Jackson. I forget who that person's name was, but Malloy lost. No, Malloy eventually won, but he lost that primary, and the person that he was running against was a friend of Jesse Jackson. Just saying.
was front page news. I went into school the next day, told the teacher. He was like, you have to tell the principal.
How did that happen? Is it possible? Is it at all possible that the allegation had something to do with an intentional hit on Malloy before he was governor? Is it possible?
The principal heard it and, freaked out and called the cops. And next thing I know, I'm front page throughout Connecticut newspapers. And of course, we've got local chapters, not Black Lives Matter, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. They wanted
Jesse Jackson. She stopped saying it because she knew she wasn't supposed to say it. But ever since 2006, 2007, she has known Jesse Jackson. Now, I have mixed feelings about Jesse Jackson. I actually think Jackson meant well. But look, he was surrounded by a lot of people who were playing him, a lot of people that was misleading him. The younger videos that I see of Jesse Jackson, I see someone that I think had a pretty good heart. And I think he wanted people to be together for the right reasons. I think he was a good-hearted person. But man, he had a lot of bad people around him. Man, bad, just so much America hatred was around him. It's actually impressive that he was able to accomplish anything. But that said, the Jackson family wound up being connected to all kinds of things. Remember, Jesse Jackson's daughter was the maid of honor at the wedding of Barack Obama. This is a well-connected family. Now, also, Candace Owens, after high school, after a year off, goes to college. She goes to the University of Rhode Island. And at the University of Rhode Island, which is not too far from Connecticut, okay? At the University of Rhode Island, she befriends a woman, a student, same age as her, named Zoe Weiner, who now works at Teen Vogue. And Zoe Weiner's father, Mark Weiner, was one of the top DNC fundraisers, manufactures all the Democrat Party merchandise with some financial innovations group. And Mark Weiner is among the best friends of... Is it in here? Okay. The best friends of... I have it listed here. Jesse Jackson. In fact, Jesse Jackson on August 2nd, 2016 has a...
All right, Reverend, so first, I just want to talk about the reason why you came to Providence, into this area.
As a sit-down because of the memorial of Mark Weiner, the father of the person that Candace Owens starts her company with. The same Jesse Jackson who we are reading about right now, family is somehow caught up with the governor in Illinois regarding the ambassador to India role. That's odd because when you now that Candace Owens is so popular and got hooked up with Charlie Kirk, after Charlie Kirk dies, he was Kirked, right? After Charlie Kirk dies for saying the U.S. shouldn't get involved in the India-Pakistan war, well, isn't that strange? Because then his widow attends one and only one swearing-in ceremony. It's for the ambassador to India. But of course, I hear that you're not allowed to hear about Israel in the United States. It's funny that that we are supposed to believe that Israel is the most censored topic in the United States. But you can buy billions of pages of conspiracy about Israel. Almost every other podcast is nothing about Israel. It's Israel all the time. You can't mention India. It's funny that all of these people have this ecosystem around India and nobody hears about it. It's almost as if the real censorship is India. You can't hear about India. And if you do, you can't hear anything useful about India. And it's not about Indian people. It's about the fact that the gravity right now of youth, the gravity of family size, the gravity of technology, the gravity of workforce potential is in India. Even the United Nations was moving in that direction at that time. So, Candace Owens is as part of this Jackson family. And here, this Jackson family is now with the governor of Illinois involved in this fight over the ambassador role to India. And the ambassador role to India, you want to take it back a level. That's funny because the governor of Ohio, a Democrat, was the ambassador to India. Probably something that, I thought we should be focusing on Les Wexner. Les Wexner in Israel. Les Wexner in Israel. India's a lot bigger than Israel. I thought we were supposed to follow the money. India doesn't exist. Don't look at that. Just look at Israel. It's all Israel. That's all you need to know. Just stop right there. Nothing else. Almost everything I keep looking at just keeps bumping into India. Now, going back up a couple levels here. If Candace Owens, and Candace Owens should know this, and we just reviewed, okay, Jesse Jackson was there. Jesse Jackson's son, Jesse Jackson's son, Yusef Jackson, was one of the pallbearers of Mark Weiner. We're not shitting around. Jesse Jackson deeply admired Mark Weiner. And I think Mark Weiner was also probably a very sweethearted guy. Okay. I think he was. From what I can tell, I think he was a pretty genuine and deeply, deeply committed to the Democrat cause, just like Jesse Jackson was. Misleading, probably. Misled, likely, yes. But that doesn't mean that their hearts were evil. I don't think Mark Weiner could have crushed a fly, But they are part of a very big, nasty machine for sure. A lot of Republicans are as well. This isn't really a political a left or right thing, but this is insights that we can see now that we understand a deeper story of Candace Owens. Now, remember, Yusef Jackson wasn't the one that was being suggested for the ambassador role. It was another Jackson family member. But Yusef Jackson, that's right, Yusef Jackson did business with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein and Yusef Jackson co-owned Radar magazine for over a year. And in spite of everyone having such incredible, deep Jeffrey Epstein insights, Jeffrey Epstein owned a magazine that was sold, at the bookends, whatever you want to call it, at cash registers throughout America's grocery stores in 2005. And I can't find a single researcher, podcaster that gives a damn about it. They're like, they just want to ignore that fact. Jeffrey Epstein owned a magazine. Co-owned it with Yusef Jackson, whose apparently brother was fighting for an ambassador to India role. And is tied up with the reason that the governor of Illinois wound up getting arrested. I guess everyone would know this, but in reality, while you're being told you can't talk about Israel, you can't hear about Israel, and then you hear about this over and over and over again on shows that talk nothing about Israel and have Israeli flags all over the place, you're forgetting that Israel's future is India. Israel's going to be fine. You've been fooled. You've been had. You've been had. We've all been had. And if Candace Owens isn't the person that helps give it away, now, Let me go back up here. Okay. It is, see, Control F. No, wait, Control F. January 2022, Candace Owens becomes only the second person that gets a 4-hour interview with Robert Malone. Robert Malone, an agent of India. Robert Malone with the Indian intelligence agency glowing lion head over his shoulder throughout all his podcasts, writing books called Cyber, saying you'll never understand where the attack on America is coming from. Well, why don't the two of them get together and say, isn't it odd that Erica Kirk went to one and only one swearing-in ceremony, the new ambassador to India? Oh, not funny. That just doesn't seem to cross their minds. Instead, they talk about how many fingers is involved in the hug that Erica Kirk hugs Trump with or something like that. It's amazing. It's so there. And the thing here is that India, respectfully, they have needs for energy. They have needs for resources. They have an overcapacity of population. They have all the things. They have things that they need. And I understand their need to expand. I understand it. And the United States military was being defunded going into 9/11. And here I'm just going to pivot a little bit into a little bit of speculation as to why I think this starts to add up. The United States military, inflation adjusted, was at near an all-time low going into the year 2000, 2001. And in fact, I think the only reason that they were being kept around was because it's 3 million people that you can say have to accept an experimental gene therapy vaccine, such as a DNA vaccine that Robert Malone might have been involved with, should there be a biological terror event in a major U.S. metropolitan center, such as predicted in the book Germs that came out on September 9th, 2001, where the very first sentence is about a biological terror event and the need for the U.S. military to take experimental gene therapy vaccines. The very first sentence in the first version of the book, only the first version that came out September 9th, 2001. You won't hear it in the Amazon audiobook because that shit is for real censored. That shit is for real censored. So what are you going to do if you're the military? What if you're part of this Freemasonry group? Got to say it. That's in the military. How are you going to hang around? Well, first off, you don't want your troops exposed to experimental gene therapy, and you need an enemy. You know what you need? You need radical Islam, baby. You need Pakistan to attack you. And guess what? India has a need for that. India clearly benefits. They're not loving Pakistan. They're not loving the fact that Pakistan has a relationship with China. Maybe India. Maybe. How do people know that there's dancing Israelis on a bridge when most Israelis have the same, generally speaking, eye color and skin tone as many, run-of-the-mill white Americans, Caucasians? How do you know? That seems almost impossible to know unless the story was made up on day zero, which I think it was. And then when you hear a story such as the one that was thankfully validated because of our investigation of Robert Malone. You know, Robert Malone and his COVID vaccines in the year 2021 were with Reliance Life Sciences in India. And it just so happened that the Wall Street Journal reporter, Daniel Pearl, was in India going all the way back to September 11th, 2001, researching Reliance Life Sciences, researching embryonic stem cells, researching gene therapy vaccines, before, I guess, getting put on a new mission to go to Pakistan to talk with people related to the shoe bomber, Daniel Pearl, before getting his head chopped off. It's an amazing coincidence. Again, understanding the all of the relations to India. It seems as though India had a need, and the U.S. military had a need. You see how that works out? And thanks to Robert Malone working with Richard Verma, again, probably one of the top scientists in all of India, who is the head of the Salk Institute and is looking at using HIV technology for gene delivery as a gene delivery vehicle going into 9/11. These are two people that know for certain and can pass on this information to the Indian government that, you know what, the United States military might be open to the possibility of getting a little bit of assistance in not having a large-scale biological terror event in their U.S. city of New York. They might benefit from that. Matter of fact, maybe if you can help, blow up the Twin Towers before the explosion is blamed upon a suitcase nuke, which is going to be part of the planes that fly into the buildings, as predicted by Harvey Weinstein's Talk magazine that came out in September of 2001, the military will win. The U.S. military can double their funding, and they can avoid the need for an experimental gene therapy vaccine. And India, which, by the way, just happened to coincidentally have a couple of small terrorist events of its own, which they immediately blamed on Pakistani Islamic militants, also wins. And this is following the money. This isn't following Israel. Oh, I found a few $1,000s over here. I found an inside stock trade from the Bush family. This must be it. No. This goes straight to the top. Now you're talking about parties related to the biggest concerns and more money than there's zeros, than calculators can handle. This goes straight to the top. This is, and I know there's holes in my story still, but I can say with a very high level of confidence that what I just rattled off for the last few minutes is closer to a more accurate description of what happened on 9/11 than anyone has ever put together ever before. Ever. Now it's going to evolve, and someday I'll look back and feel silly that I missed a whole bunch of things. But I'm making this progress because I'm following the evidence, the books that came out before the event, not the cover your ass books that came out after the event. And because I'm not here to be a fanboy or a hater of someone like Candace Owens. Open up. Look at her timeline. Jesse Jackson, ambassador to India. Richard Verma, the same Richard Verma, by the way, the ambassador to India, the one I already talked about, who worked with this Robert Malone sitting across here from Candace Owens in the year 2001, helping set up legal concerns related to the Windber Cancer Research Center that was only 10 miles away from where Flight 93 definitely didn't crash. Richard Verma, who, by the way, coincidentally, was a United States Air Force lawyer with already having military connections, could have easily been part of helping facilitate connections between parties in India, perhaps, that were interested in helping foil a large-scale biological terror event in a major U.S. metropolitan center for the benefits of parties both in India, perhaps Indian allies such as Armenia, U.S. military interests, NATO, so on and so forth. Put that in your pipe. That's my night. Love you much. Thank you. Take care. God bless.